And hello, everyone, to FMK Anime. I'm your host, Meep, joined by my co-hosts, Makan and Dalaran. Say hi, you two.
Hello.
Hi. Hello everyone to FMK Anime Weep. Really?
Well, it is our retrospective, and that is still part of the FMK.
No, it was specifically the hello everyone to FMK Anime. Then I'm like, that no English.
Hello everyone to FFK Anime. Good English, yeah?
No hablo isekai.
No, no, please. God
I'm
damn
sorry,
it.
I'm sorry, I've been watching so much anime, I've been impulsively speaking the English.
I'm squinting at you.
Listen, I've listened to the uh fuck, what's that one right, I've been listening to Black Lagoon's sub where they just where okay, did anyone here see Black Lagoon season 2 where in the sub, because they were in America, the Japanese voice actors were speaking English and it was really weird?
No.
I like the Black Lagoon, both sub and dub. But yes, I know what you're talking about.
It's so weird, but anyways,
Yeah, onto the
say hi, you two.
We just did!
Well, you didn't introduce yourselves and tell you where they can find you.
It's true, Makan, where can they find you?
You can't, but you can try it at that underscore Viking on Twitter. It'd be a good place to start.
Cool, short and sweet. I like it. As always, you guys can catch me over at Twitch, YouTube, and I almost said Facebook and Twitter on Dalaron Quest. That's Dalaron Quest. But if you're listening to us live, you already are where you need to be. And if you're listening to this not live, then you don't really need me to spell my name because it's right down there. I'm tired.
And you can find me on Twitter at soul underscore king 777. But if you're a minor, don't follow me. There are boobs and butts on the timeline, and soon there will be a broken Goliath getting beat up by a clown. Don't ask.
Oh no! I wait. Hold on. I was a part of that campaign. I understood that reference.
I might have had an idea for Chair's birthday.
Oh my. Send me the whip of that as it comes out.
It, if I'm getting it from anyone, it's going to be Art Jack. But yeah, just because he's affordable.
That
And
oh
obviously his art is really good. His art is really good too. I did not mean that to sound like a backhanded compliment.
yeah. Good catch, good catch. I was gonna say that
He's
is some
he's a
serious art skill to put into this fucking birthday image.
yeah, and 50 bucks for a commission, I can swing that.
I don't think he
It's
I don't think he does two characters for $50. But that's a conversation for after our stream. Hi everyone.
yeah,
Spring, am I right?
yes, and we are doing the retrospective today, where we go through all 10 shows. However, I believe it's going to be split up into two parts. We're going to cover the first five today, and then the later five tomorrow.
Basically,
And
we'll be
after,
we'll be getting to what we can today, and then we'll be getting to more throughout sessions this week. So for those of you who are catching us live, don't be confused if we don't get to it today. For those of you listening on the YouTube upload, we'll probably have it edited into 2-3 videos.
yeah, and the words will be sometime later this week as well. We will try and find a date and let all of you know. But
Probably
uh,
Kate.
let's just start and hop into our first show on the list, Vivi Florent Eye's song. And I don't know where to start with this, especially for the retrospective, because we've been talking about this show for a while now, and
I mean, it's your
we
show.
talk it,
It's your
we
baby.
talk it to, yeah, we talk it to death whenever we do talk about it.
Nah, Death to
And
Reality is coming up from like Deep South, so she's not here now.
oof, I,
That was a shitty joke. Anyway,
anyways, I this show means a lot to me, and I am happy to see that it resonated with so many other people too, because there's been a large influx I've seen of people, like especially when the ending happened, like when it was trending, just seeing people thanking Tappe and the writers, and I'm one of those people. I'm really happy I got this, and I did find out there. Okay, so this is a little bit of a tangent. This was originally supposed to be 20 episodes, but the publishers only gave them 13.
That's unfortunate. I think this show, man, I still, like 2 weeks after Vivi finished up, I still have mixed feelings when it comes to this show. Though I don't know. I want to be like an avid believer that no matter what, with more time, it'll be a better show. But I also know that's not always true.
I mean, maybe with 20 episodes, the show could have been good, but also it might just have wasted my time for 7 more episodes.
Khan doesn't like Vivi.
No, I don't.
Honestly, I think the show would have worked great either way because they used their 13 episode limit to a strength. I think in this way because they made it was more fast paced. And while there was stuff lost in translation with more fast paced properties, there will be stuff lost. But if it was 20 episodes, it could have like To Your Eternity taken more time, explored its concepts more. But because of the episode limit, they did what they did what a lot of shows do and say, okay, this is a weakness, let's turn it into a strength. Because Mappa even does that at times. Like with Inuyashiki, Mappa went, okay, we have to use CG for these models. Let's turn that into a strength and use it to portray how these characters aren't human. And I'm always a fan of turning weaknesses into strengths because that's such a smart and intelligent way to deal with your medium. And
Sure.
I enjoy how it was done here too.
I don't think they did that as a strength, though, because if they had more episodes, then maybe they could have taken some of that time and actually made me care about a character instead of killing them as fast as they introduced it.
See, I disagree. I cared about the character. Oh, okay. I cared about most. I cared about most of the characters. There were a couple that I wasn't strong on. Like honestly, I was stronger on Yugo before they did what they did with him in the final arc. But as I say each week now, basically, I am going to choose and believe what Dal said, where she is reinventing his image and that he actually wasn't a good guy the whole time. I want to choose to believe that because I trust Tappe to be a better writer than that.
Well, no matter what anyone says in the show, is like, oh no, he's redeemed, so he's a good guy. He killed innocent people as a fucking terrorist.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever gonna make him a good guy.
Yeah, which is why I am choosing to believe what the theory Dal put out there because I trust Tappe to be a better writer than that.
If the whoever Tappe has wrote this, I don't.
Oof.
Tappe is the author of ReZero.
Ah, well, he's made some mistakes in that too as well. I think that might have been a spring of luck for him.
Because as someone that has been watching ReZero lately, he is a fantastic writer.
Oh no,
And
I
I
agree.
think it shines through here as
when
well.
when I watched the first season of ReZero, it's a reason why I consider that the best psychological horror in any media.
Like just looking back on the show, I have a lot of love for it. The Assemblyman Aizawa arc, the Estella arc, the uh the Grace arc, like the Ophelia arc and the Robot War arc. I love all of them. I can't even choose a weakest one because I
Grace.
think I'm like, okay, like each arc has something I really like about it. Sure, I wasn't super strong on Ophelia and the Ophelia arc, but there's still the whole diva aspect and like what's going on with Vivi and Matsumoto and their relationship. Okay, I loved that part. I go to the Grace arc. Okay, Grace wasn't a big part of it, but there's the whole story with Psyche and that's Vivi and Matsumoto beginning to starting to understand each other. I loved that. Estella arc. Estella and Elizabeth. That
Yeah,
whole arc I loved.
that still continues to be my favorite part of the show. Was the Estella Beth Elizabeth arc. Personally, like I thought Grace. A moment ago I said Grace when you said like I can't think of a single bad arc, but like the more I thought about it, like no, we got M, which was really cute. We got we got. I don't know. Yeah, Grace could have been more interesting. They could have gone more into depth with Grace herself and gave her something more than just like, does that sound like singing to you? And now that I'm talking about this, I'm realizing the issue I had with the majority of the show is that I still have plenty of questions unanswered. Uh, and I know there's like, I don't know. The ending still leaves me underwhelmed.
The the for me, the Grace arc, as much as I keep calling it the Grace arc, it's really the Psyche arc because it's more about Psyche than anything. Grace's
Sure,
husband
sure, but the whole format of the show is focusing on the sisters.
I
doesn't mean
mean,
they
if
can't deviate from that a little bit.
if we're perfectly honest, the entire arc is focused about Psyche shooting himself in the head and what that does to Vivi.
Well, no, that's the end of that arc. What do you mean?
That's really the only part of the arc that has any importance as well.
I don't think so.
Well, no, the importance of that arc is how it affects Vivi and Matsumoto as characters. Like I said, this whole journey is how it affects them and changes them as characters. Like, because even
Also,
in the like,
also how it redefines AI, how people view AIs due to the relationship going public afterwards.
yeah, and it does a couple of small things to set up too, like how it sets up that the idea of AI clones is possible, like how they refined that from Elizabeth.
Yeah, but that was a weak point.
Yeah, and the fact that that is a thing also kind of ruins a lot of the fucking story.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Estella
I
died.
disagree.
Estella died. Just make a new Estella. Oh, Grace died. Just make a new Grace.
But it's not the same Grace, or it's not the same Estella. That's how Psyche thinks. And the people who do view AIs as
Well, no,
not human, but
because
as people.
he came to Metal Float to download Grace into the clone. He wasn't able to recreate her code because of like just how vast her system was expanded because she is now basically the main processor of the or the mother brain of Metal Float. So he needed to download her directly from the mother computer. Like he was still going to make Grace the Grace clone into Grace. Uh it's just
Yeah, but our memories, personality, and data would be the same from the Grace and the Metal Float. That's what I mean.
yeah, and I'm saying it would have been interesting to explore that a little bit more. As like, is an exact copy of you actually you, or are you still just a copy? Like, what does it mean to actually upload yourself into a new body, into a new brain, or into a computer? And like, that's one of the reasons why I find this show ultimately underwhelming is because there were interesting concepts shown to us throughout the show, but none of them were explored to the lengths and depths that I personally would have enjoyed seeing, or like I wanted to be. Like if I'm being fully honest, I wanted for it to be. But again, like I try not to hold it against the show when it doesn't do something that I want it to do because that's super subjective and that's super kind of well not fair to put it politely. Uh so even without that, I don't know, just the ending was kind of just all right, not bad, not terrible, not broken, not like didn't ruin the show for me, but it didn't have me sitting or like standing up from my seat and just being like, yeah, let's go. This is yeah. I was just like, okay, this is how it ends. All right.
See, that's why I think the things you were looking for out of the show were different from what I was looking for out of
Oh
the
yeah,
show.
for
Because what
sure.
I was looking for out of the show was the characters and how they develop and how this message and theme it's doing comes to fruition. And with the whole definition of heart that Vivi comes up with and the essentially the crux and everything that has been building up with her character and with Matsumoto's character, I like, especially in episode 12 when Vivi is breaking down at her lowest point, I was bawling for 20 minutes. It was so heartbreaking. But then that guitar kicks in, and Matsumoto is like, "I'm gonna send you back one last time." I was I was so fucking down. And then the last episode, it was so sweet. It was so sweet and nice. I loved the ending and the way they ended Matsumoto's journey, because Vivi's journey ended when she shut down. But Matsumoto's journey ended when he protected her body so he could bring her into the future she worked so hard to save. And sure, that's not the same Vivi. She doesn't have the same personalities and everything, but to Matsumoto, he doesn't care because it's all about the symbolism for him. He thinks that she deserves to live in the future she fought to protect. The only thing I would have liked to see more personally is how the AI war affected humanity, and honestly, I can just chalk that up, or more or less, I chalk that up to there not being enough time. But I would have liked to see explore like what is the fallout from this, which when the manga comes out, maybe they'll cover that in the manga. I'm definitely picking the manga up.
Oh yeah, I don't think either anyone who's been following the show would be surprised. FMK anime would be surprised to hear that. Also, you brought up a couple of good things. Like yeah, the journey's good. Again, just I like enjoy it, man. Like I am not saying what you feel about it is wrong. All I'm saying is that I personally found it to be good, not great, and underwhelming. Also, it's very important to worth noting that this show definitely, like without a doubt, resonated more emotionally with you than it did either me or Makan or I. No, yeah, resonated with me or Makan.
I just This show is fantastic for me. It is in my heart a 10 out of 10. I loved every bit of it. It means a lot to me, and I'm actually getting a tattoo on my neck of the AI blue ring thing.
Really?
So yeah, I've been looking into to see cost and everything because the show means a lot to me.
That's sick.
I, I want to mark my body with a permanent reminder of how much this show means to me. But yeah, and I think this is as good a time as any. Vivi, will you marry me?
Ah.
Bum, bum,
Bum
bum, bum, bum.
bum 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 bum. Game the
I
bells. Game the bells.
Let me be the person sitting in the back of this wedding with a fucking bottle of vodka screaming, "You suck!"
And then I am
Uh,
the one who's politely yet sternly asking you to leave. There
I
you go, Meep.
I I recently did watch through the Ophelia arc and AI War arc again with Chair, and it just made me appreciate those arcs more too. And that's what I love about the show. The more I watch it, the more I appreciate just the little details and everything. This is a show that I can come back to and watch like once a year and appreciate more each time. That also makes me love parts about it. Like when I was thinking about what show I was gonna marry, because I was thinking about it after the finale, after I saw the finale of Shadow's House, and I was like, I'm still gonna give it to Vivi. I'd be lying to everyone else and myself if I didn't.
Yep. I was going to go into a bit what my general feeling of it is. Vivi was a show that had promise, but ended up being aggressively disappointing. For me, never managed to do anything with the short amount of time it spends on its characters before killing them, becoming formulaic in a comedic sense of how they introduce someone and then kill them the next episode. Without flaw, really. Um, and during all of it, just going more and more numb to the feeling of like, oh, a new character. Can't wait to see how they die. Oh, this character seems to have something nice happen to them. Can't wait to see how they fucking lose it all or die. And just all the plot holes I see. Just why don't you just make another clone of a character that died? I mean, if the original body is gone, then what makes this not the real version? And if the new Grace wasn't as much of the real Grace, then the new Vivi shouldn't even be considered Vivi. It's
Yeah,
kind of the same concept.
yeah, I definitely like the whole like you're Vivi. Oh, okay. Like that part sits weird with me because it. I don't think. Hmm. So
Again, that's the end. That's the end to Matsumoto's journey. It isn't Vivi. It's as it that Vivi is as much as Vivi as the Grace and the Grace arc was as much as Grace.
I
She
mean,
isn't. She doesn't
mm,
have her
Well,
memories. She doesn't
well,
have. She doesn't
yeah,
have her.
but that's my point. It's seen as a good thing here instead of a bad thing as it was there because he's still referring to her as Vivi. He is accepting her as Vivi. He is not showing anything that says he is not okay with her as Vivi.
I Well, I don't mind the
Because that's just how
formulaic nature of the
Matsumoto is.
show as much. Like, I don't think formula is a bad thing. It depends on the formula, and if you're executing the formula well, and yes, I don't need to be surprised, shocked, and like, oh my god, you're a genius on every single like turn and chapter in a story. I understand how that does take the fun away from some people. Like we're kind of like, you're like, all right, well, especially because like you didn't enjoy the formula. You're like, okay, you're gonna introduce a character that's interesting or likable, and I know you're gonna kill him and how, right? Like that's not everyone's cup of tea, and I totally get that.
I'm
PTI.
okay, I'm okay with formulaic, but when I can see it coming from the moment I meet the character, then I don't really form an attachment and I won't care.
Yeah. I think the one thing the show failed to do was subvert its formulas. It subvert the expectations its formula put out by letting one of the sisters survive. And I think maybe they're like, ah, we did that with Beth, except you didn't. The thing is, this show is enjoyable and it has some very clever parts, and the character development between Matsumoto and Vivi is really good. I'll get into my positive thoughts later on, but like I'm thinking about it and I'm just like, I don't think this show either it doesn't know what tone it wants to have set, or I don't think this show understands death. Because at no point of you guys just talking about it right now did I have a concise statement on this show's stance on death. Because with Grace, it was a great travesty that it's a copy that was like ahead of its time. But with like Vivi, it's just like Matsumoto took and remade Matsumoto Cube took Vivi and just like rebuilt her body and uploaded and I don't even know what it did, but it like kind of gives me the vibe of like Matsumoto just took Vivi's corpse and casted, necromancy on it and brought it back to life, and now Vivi's corpse is sitting there. It doesn't remember anything that it's done. So like what's the like again, it chalks everything up to a lot of speculation and conversation, and sometimes and like I like it when a show leaves you with a little bit to discuss, right? Not I personally love when a show gives me a complete ending because you can still extrapolate and elaborate from a concise, closed story. Because if the world building was set and the characters are strong, you will have all the content you need to continue expanding and expounding on the world post and the end of a book, an anime, a movie, whatever. Doesn't matter. But at the end of a story. Here, it leaves me with a bunch of questions that I feel have been unanswered. Not because, oh, what if, but like, no, what does this mean, and does what does that mean in the face of this situation that was presented to us earlier? Why is this happening this way? And I'm just sitting here being like, I have a lot of questions that personally I am not super as interested in answering. That being said, for those who really enjoy the show, if all the forums, if all the posts, messages, calls, websites, meetups, if all of that is creating conversations for you guys, talking about these ideas, like what does it mean to die for an AI versus a human, what does it mean to be like re-uploaded, or like, and expanding that past the scope of what the show was able to discuss in its runtime, then that's a fucking win, as far as I'm concerned.
See, the way the way I see it is, I get what you mean. Each death does have a different tone to it, but that feels intentional to me because each death is handled differently because of the character it's involved with. Like, okay, let's talk about Estella for example. Estella and Elizabeth and the Estella arc. It that is a bittersweet ending because when we see Vivi at the end and take off her helmet and she's like, I'm jealous, it's she's jealous because Estella got to live out her mission and complete her purpose with her sister that she lost for so long. It is seen as a bittersweet thing. In the Grace arc, it's seen as a tragedy because these were people who didn't want this, and what happened with Psyche, like Vivi wasn't happy about killing Elizabeth. She didn't want to, but she had to, and she knew she had to because there was no other way. And
That's the thing. Like the whole time with the Grace thing, it felt like did she have to? Because the virus was a
she
lie, Toke's involvement was a lie, and then like I don't know that.
she she had to because Grace became every AI on that island, and they would have had to round up all those AI to bring Grace out. They explain that Matsumoto explains
No,
that. Yeah,
no.
Matsumoto
Her
does.
her processing is on such a large scale. That's why he wasn't able to do it from his home. He had to go and extract her directly from the mother computer.
Yes, but after the virus is uploaded and Matsumoto is talking, Vivi going, "Is this singing to you?" He does explain that that Grace is. I can go. We don't have the time, but I could go in and get the exact line. But he explains that Grace has become every AI that's on that island. Like
Yes.
I mean,
when the AIs went into panic mode, he explains that.
I
It's just been
mean,
so long since I've seen the episode, I don't have the exact line.
yeah, but at the same time, I think that's a fucking stupid plot point because that's not how a fucking processing program works. The program files is somewhere.
Well, that's the
It's not.
thing.
It's not pieced up and divvied out to each and every part of everything. It is localized in an area and pulling from it to transfer it out to whatever's using it.
Well,
Well, that's the thing, right?
the island is a
It's
giant server. It's
hold on, really quick,
basically a
really quick.
giant server. Like
Really, exactly. It's not that Grace is every AI, right? M is not Grace. Grace is not M. It's that Grace can no longer exist as a personality. Like she herself is no longer a person. Her everything, her soul, her heart, her processors, you know, because that conversation never really ultimately got wrapped up. Because it's like I want to know what an like Vivi's creator. I want to know what it means for an AI to have a soul or to have a heart. Like that never like we get it. Like it's you're alive by living the life you live, right? Having all the experiences with the people you met and the both the joys and the tragedies that you've experienced. But like Grace was not able to do any of that because her entire soul was stretched out to everything else to run as a processor to basically be the OS for Metal Float. And that song was just audio data that was in Grace's memories being played on loop. However, that song was pointed out to be really important and sentimental to Grace, so the fact that that song is the thing that is being played out, like again, the show just like is it alive? Is it not alive? Is it intentional to be like left obtuse? If it is, I don't support that kind of storytelling. Like when you make things intentionally, like if it's one thing to create mystery, intrigue, and misdirection. It's another thing to like create a situation that doesn't have an answer because that's not. Yeah,
it does.
go ahead, go ahead.
It does have an answer though. I felt they gave a pretty conclusive answer to it when Matsumoto was saying to Vivi, "Does this sound like singing to you?" Like, because as Matsumoto said,
Yeah, it's just audio
it's
data.
data, and the metaphor I came up with there is that it's like it's cries of pain. Like I remember saying during that episode that they were cries of pain because it's the song, but it's so twisted and warbled, and there's no heart put into it
Yeah.
like that,
Both you and I
which
were like talking about that in the episode too. But like,
yeah, and the smile and the time Grace finally smiles is when Vivi kills her. That was the conclusive answer I got was that Grace was in pain. She wanted it to end.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the conclusive answer I got.
That would be the ending I go with as well.
And that and big tragedy of that arc was Psyche's suicide, and that's what sent Vivi in the lockdown mode. And that was such a powerful scene to me, having both the literal and metaphorical blood of Psyche and Grace on her hands.
Divi.exe has encountered a fatal error. Yeah. See. Yeah. But like that pretty much like it's again, it seems like you got a much more coherent experience with this show than I did, and I know definitely than Makan did. Also, it's funny how like before when we were setting up the stream, you're like, "Yeah, I don't know if I'll have a lot to say about Vivi," and I'm just like, and here we are, half an hour in.
Well, honestly, the last thing I have to say about it, and this is just finishing off my point from before, is the reason why I don't mind Matsumo bringing Vivi back in the end is sure it's not Vivi, like it's not she doesn't have her memories and everything, but the thing with Matsumoto is even after all his character development, up on those little details. He just takes everything at face value, and while he's learned to go around that a bit, he still has those habits. And he, while this isn't the Vivi he knows, I think he's willing to get to know another side of Vivi. Like he's very more willing to do that more. Like this emotional connection he has to her, I think to him doesn't matter what version of Vivi it is, as long as it's Vivi, I think he's happy.
Yeah,
And it's not the Vivi he knows, but he's ready to get to know another Vivi.
I think in like writing, we have this kind of like cultural understanding, almost trope, right? That someone who wants to bring back a dead loved one, even if it isn't truly the same person through doing so, is sick, mental, broken, ultimately wrong, right? Like if Matsumoto was a person and like let's say a wizard and he went into necromancy and brought back Vivi's corpse to live with him because he couldn't stand and bear the loss of his dear friend and partner, uh, he would traditionally be viewed as the bad guy, as a monster. And there is that level of uncomfortability in me because that's kind of what I see him doing, where it's just like Vivi died, he couldn't let go, and or he didn't want to let go, and he brought her back to life. Except that's not really Vivi; that's just her corpse with her face. That being said, with the context, well, first of all, with the added context of what you said, where it's just like, oh, he thinks Vivi deserves to see the future that she spent literally 100 years doing, like literally became the person that she is to see this future come to fruition. And like, there's a level of like poetic romanticism that I love about that, and also like, I don't, loss is hard, and like why is it that as humans like we dream of immortality because death terrifies us, but the moment death happens, we treat it with such sacred revelry that not reverence, that if someone was to bring someone back, i.e., extending their life, we see that as villainous. That's always been something that's fascinated me about human storytelling and narrative.
And a big part of that is because with humans and that storytelling, that largely comes from folk tales of messing with souls.
Yeah.
I think, and normally I'm with that, like with the messing with the soul once it's out of the body. You can't do that, man. That's a bad thing. The reason
Also,
I don't think it bothers me here is they a AIs AIs as much like the AIs do quote unquote become human, but it's more in a it's more in a like metaphorical sense. They still don't have souls. They still don't have literal hearts.
I
But
mean,
they're
the
despite all
whole
of that through
show,
their death.
the whole show comes down to what is the soul, or like what is the heart.
Yeah, and for me, there's not that context of you're messing with something you shouldn't be. You're bringing back a corpse. It's you're bringing back data, and there's that whole extra context of these are still AI at the end of the day. While they are human in a way, they're still AI. They don't have that context. They don't have that like they don't have that moral quandary with them.
But that's the thing, right? Like, that's another one of the things that the show is kind of wishy-washy or half and half on. Do AIs have heart? Do AIs have souls? Do some AIs have souls and others don't? Then what stops them from having souls or heart in this show's case? Is it just more experience? Is it because Vivi got to live a life? And like, I'm not trying to throw the whole like entitlement, page there, but like, is Vivi got to live not entitled, sorry, privilege, did Vivi live a privileged life of like getting to be autonomous and be a fucking person instead of just being like, this is what you do, and being like, okay.
Well, that question, for at least for me, does get answered when Vivi uh, defines her heart as her experiences and her memories. She has experiences that no one else has, and
which implies that she, and we've saw through Estella as well, and even Ophelia, and assumedly Grace, that she and, as far as we know, the sisters have the capacity to become people, to be alive, to have soul, to have autonomous thought and agency. And what makes them special? Is it the sister line that can do this and the other AI lines can't do it? Okay, then why not just create, mass produce the sister line? Why can't they?
I
Questions that are never
I
answered.
well, no, I to me it was because they were part of these events that put them on a different path is that their mission has to be flexible for. Estella was originally a caretaker, and when she started going on that path when the owner died, and she wanted to take care of the hotel, and that's when she started to gain her own experiences, and through her experience of losing Elizabeth, a part of her that she kind of wants to get back and see again. Like that's what put her on that path. Grace, yeah, sorry.
Oh shit,
And
meat is glitching.
Grace got it through her relationship with Psyche, and with Ophelia, it was through her partnership with Antonio and the way their missions clashed.
Yeah, exactly. It's life experiences that create, well, life, and that's a very human way to see life. And
Yeah,
I agree with it.
and
Also, like, it's important to point out that the questions I'm asking right now, like, I don't expect the show to give us, like, I don't expect Vivi Floridi's song to have been this revelationary, uh like, piece of philosophical theory, right? I don't expect the show to, like, because we're tackling questions that have existed in humanity for almost all of life, if not up until all of it to this point. Nature versus nurture. What is a soul? What does it mean to live a good life? Good with a capital G. Like, we're talking about platonic ideals. We're talking about like a whole bunch of different concepts that we are still dealing and trying to figure out. I just wish the show kind of tackled them a little bit more hands on.
I mean, yeah, we also do see other AI that have like gained some personality. Like there's Navi, there was the as brief as they were, the two songstress AI, which I don't know if they're a duo or a actual AI couple, like the ones we see singing. Because when
Mm.
Vivi first meets them, they're like one of them's a bit more sassy with her, and the other is a bit more like I hate to say this, but gives off those Ara Ara vibes.
Oh
Like, and
me.
there was there was also Leclerc who was spreading rumors about Estella and harbored ill feelings for her. So we definitely do get to see other AI other than the ones we focus on having those experiences that are changing them.
I just feel like, and you guys can both disagree or support my argument, and so can everyone in chat or in the comments below. But like, Estella was such a strong character and seemed like such a more complete Vivi that I kind of don't see why we didn't just use Estella for the mission for the Singularity Project instead of Diva Vivi.
Same comment I made with
Because
why didn't they just use Beth?
I don't think
because
Beth has
Vivi
the emotional capacity to succeed on this mission. But Estella had
Well,
empathy, drive, focus.
the I can give the meta answer or I can give the in-story answer.
I'll
In-story answer.
I'll gladly take both.
In
I'll gladly take both of your answers for that question.
in the in-story answer, Estella wasn't alive during the Assemblyman Aikawa arc, and they needed to fix that singularity point too.
Ah.
And then the meta answer, they needed more like for the message and theme of the show, the main character had to start out as not a blank slate, but a incomplete slate, let's say.
Yeah.
Someone that can be influenced and grow from their journey. Estella, like you said, was a complete character. That's why she wouldn't have worked meta-wise for the main character.
Yeah. It's I kind of all three of us, for those of you who don't know or are just catching this episode, all three of us have a lot of experience in D&D or are very involved in D&D and enjoy it as a hobby. Um to me it kind of felt like the DM PC that is just better than your character in every way, and you're just sitting here and being like, well, why the fuck am I even here? uh like the show handled it fine enough, right, where it's just like Estella had a very big impact on Vivi. Estella's presence in her life was called back to multiple times, not just with the smile reference, but just with the way that Vivi condoned herself. In fact, I think Diva's personality was also strongly influenced by Estella. But it's just, I remember seeing Estella and it just watching the episode and thinking, God damn, this is such an incredible character. And then like afterwards being like, she's doing everything that Vivi wants to do except better. She has figured out the question that Vivi's still struggling with. She knows how to interact with both people and AI. She has leadership capabilities. She's competent. She's intelligent. She saw through plots and ploys. She's empathetic with everything and everyone around her. This really just seems the end goal presented to us right here. Like,
Well, I I disagree because Estella is a separate person from Vivi. She's much more personable. She's much more kind. Vivi is, even by the end, still like, she's no diva. She's no like super outgoing, super like snapping her fingers all the time. But she is more personable. But I wouldn't say that Estella is the end goal for Vivi. And as far as answering the question Vivi wants, Estella still has a separate what do you call it? A
mission?
separate definition of heart and
Mm,
yeah, of heart and what it means to pour your heart into something. So I don't agree with she's figured out the answer first because there's no set in stone answer. It's what you choose. And
yeah.
while Vivi is trying to find a set in stone answer, it takes her a while to figure out that it's a relative term. And I know I do it too, but I don't think it's fair to compare shows to D&D because there's so many other aspects of D&D of having it not being linear, the person engaging with it actually having a choice to alter the story, and the fact that there's the whole combat aspect, like the whole DNPC who's much better than your character. Usually that also extends to the combat aspect, which
I mean, which
obviously
is
doesn't.
which, I mean, that also translates over to a show if there's a main character and a guy who hangs around with him all the time, but it's just better socially and physically, and in every single fight they kick ass while the main character doesn't do shit. Wouldn't that feel bad?
We like you,
I mean,
Draken.
we. I mean, Estella doesn't fight though, and
Yeah, but the thing is though,
I
like
know, but
Vivi's not
that's my
built.
argument about characters in that way.
Yeah. Also, I thought you were about to I thought you were about to lead to
it's
this, Makan.
like
Um,
I'm just
Estella Vivi was not built for combat, right? She's a songstress AI. Yet with an upload of combat programming from Matsumoto, she was able to become just like this fucking absolute commando, which I'll get to in a second because that is my
just the bare
favorite
knuckle
part of the
brawler.
show. The bare knuckle brawler AI. Estella could have been uploaded with the same
Yeah, and
program.
let me pose this question then. Would you say Itadori is a bad main character because he hangs around Gojo? Gojo is much more complete, much more figured out. He's a complete version of himself. He's stronger. He's stronger than Itadori. He's more personal. He knows how to deal with these situations better than Itadori.
If Gojo hung around and fought every fight for him, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Actually, with how he currently is and how anything can't really challenge them when he's around, I think he's not that good of a character.
Mm,
This
that's
is
a that's a
different conversation we need to have later.
yeah. That's a conversation for another time. But yeah, that's the thing though. Gojo isn't around, and like the show knows how to use him, right? Like first of all, they like with Kakashi, they emphasize that he's only one dude, and he can really only take on one threat at a time. Which is he can only be in one place at one time. Like if you look back to the Naruto first, the Zabuza arc, why is Naruto, Sasuke, or Sakura even there when Kakashi can just beat anyone they come across? Because Kakashi's busy fighting Zabuza while Naruto and Sasuke take on Haku and Sakura's there. Um, God. I very much I liked Sakura, except like looking back now, like yeah, I can kind of see why the fandom said that she doesn't do anything. But again, also different conversation. Yeah, different conversation for another time.
Yeah.
With this case, and the show didn't do it. It's just Estella. I don't know. Oh, like just I can't shake the feeling of just like, yeah, why don't we just like get her on board on the Singularity project?
Because she's not the main character and doesn't fit for
Yeah,
the role of main character.
I mean, I think she
And
definitely fits the role for the Singularity project, but you're right because she's already a complete character, and the point of a narrative, of a show and a story, is to see the character's growth along with the story's development.
yeah, like that's my big issue with One Piece. Why would I want to stick through 1,000+ episodes with a character who's the same and never changes?
Yeah,
It's
because you can
Because they do change.
they do change, and also like I don't need character development if I like the character, but if I don't like the character, I might stay on watching the show because I think the character development will happen. Looking at you, Tales of Phantasma?
well,
No.
let me put it this way. In my experience with watching 50 episodes of One Piece, Luffy got boring after episode 25 because he did the same thing, he acted the same way, he never changed. I could always predict what he was going to do, and hey, formula isn't bad, but it's just with another 25 episodes of just never having him change and acting the same way. And yes, I understand a lot of that is probably filler, but that doesn't change my experience with the first 50 episodes. It's
I mean,
Also, Tales of
like
Abyss was
it's
what
the
I was
same.
referencing before with your fucking abysmal main character that took way too long to have good character development.
Yeah, it's the same issue I have with Natsu from Fairy Tail. They just like I'm going to get bored with a character if they stay the same for forever. Because at a point, I'm going to want to see something else other than the same thing over and over and over again. And again, formula isn't bad, but formula 50+ episodes.
all right. Well, I don't know what to tell you, but from me watching, remember what I watched of 50 episodes of One Piece when I first started, and I feel like Luffy's had more character development than every character in this show.
Yeah, yeah.
That is untrue. Vivi's or
That is
not Vivi.
that is not untrue.
Luffy stays the same for the first 50 episodes. He does not change.
Because you wanted to look deeper into the characters of this show doesn't mean that the main character of another show didn't change, because they did.
I don't
He
watch the
doesn't
One
though.
Piece,
Luffy stays
so
exactly the same for the first 50 episodes.
Yeah, because he's still the same person. He still has the same drives, motivations, goals, and wants. It's just he's being slowly molded by his experiences, which changes him,
yeah,
like it does anyone else.
that
Instead of being drastically changed by one dramatic situation, which flips you in a whiplash 90-degree turn to another direction.
The
In those 50 episodes, they don't show any allusion to him changing through the situations he's being in. They don't show
I disagree.
anything.
He in the first few arcs he learns that being reckless is not always going to be the answer because he's
Uh,
starting to have a crew and people can become endangered by his actions. I
He's
don't watch
shows
I don't watch
he
the One
first.
Piece. I don't watch the One Piece, so I can't really comment on this, but I did
Here,
watch it back on 4Kids back in the day when I was a kid, and like I remember seeing, I do remember that part distinctly. Also, Luffy's character
here's
has the disadvantage of being the happy-go-lucky he who ha shonen protagonist, and that kind of character is much harder to vocalize like character development and depth without having a serious character shift.
here's the thing. With the first 50 episodes of One Piece, he doesn't have his crew yet. I don't even think it covers the first arc.
What do you mean doesn't have his crew? 50 episodes in, he should have had at least 4 crew members.
I think he had I think he had Nami and Usopp, and that was it.
No, because then he would have Sora as well, and I'm pretty sure he would have Sanji at that point.
Yeah, I think they're just getting Sanji. But
I know he
back to Vivi Floridi's One Piece. Um, yeah, no, I mean the character development is something that I really liked in the show, and I'm just gonna take this opportunity to talk about the things in the show that I did really like. The stills or the minorly animated bits of the show, especially when they cut to any moment of Vivi, hyper realistic Vivi as the joke goes, but like actually uh signifying when her humanity falls off and she has to process something like a machine or a computer, or cannot empathize or sympathize with a situation. Those moments are like gorgeous. They are uncannily gorgeous because it is so pretty and incredibly drawn, but it intentionally, and I'm 98% certain that it was intentionally drawn to be uncanny. Almost human is the point, is something that often gets explored in AI, and visually this show does that very well. From the blue blood and metal skeletons versus the red blood and bone skeletons that humans have, to a lot of the other little visual cues and motifs. And it also gives an excuse for the show to kill people without killing people, humans. So that's been really fun, which also leads me to the other thing. The combat in this fucking show is incredible, even when it's short-lived. Good lord, the fucking dynamic actions, just fantastic animation, just literally fantastic animation. Like, it, not even fantastic, just amazing animation. The speed, the weight, the sound design, just everything about the combat encounters in this show. I mean, Beth is still fucking, the Beth fight is just the best example of this. However, the fight with Yugo Tokeboy with lighting and like explosions and switching from 3D to 2D was fantastic. Like the hair, because Vivi's hair is massive, and like usually in fights you see people like not go for that design choice, but even in a ponytail there was still a lot to work with. And even in the finale, it got a little clunky at some parts, but there were definitely core bits that were just, god damn, this is fucking awesome.
yeah, like whenever the fights happen, I'm like, yes, I can tell this is the director of Vinland Saga because the fights in Vinland Saga were very good.
I still need
I
to
think
watch
that's
it.
part of why they chose this. Like, honestly, the flow of this show is a lot like the flow of Vinland Saga. Very fast paced, like gets you introduced to characters and makes you care about them really quickly before, not necessarily they die, but they don't show up anymore, or like, because it's a journey. Like, their shows about how they're crossing England, so of course not every character is going to stick along. Like,
But yeah,
the flow
Makan.
of the show is actually very similar to Vinland Saga.
Mm. But yeah, Makan, despite your gripes with the show, I know you enjoyed that combat too, those action sequences.
Yeah, I enjoyed the combat quite a bit. I enjoyed the fight with Beth.
Mm.
I enjoyed the fight with Yugo when he was a robot. Apart from that, the other fights are not really fights. They're quick dispatching of other things, and apart from the one in the second to last episode, which was kind of a fight, which I didn't really enjoy as much, the show gave me two really good fights.
I don't know. I think seeing Beth run in and do like a full axle kick and then ripping a dude's arm off and shooting his face was okay. Yeah, there were short bursts of it, but fucking hell, if that wasn't just fucking I'm gonna show my age. I'm gonna date myself right now, but fucking hell, man, that shit was radical. Like that was fucking awesome.
I'm not saying it wasn't a good scene. It's just in the combination of that entire fight, and I didn't really enjoy all the combat that went down there.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Speaking of Beth, this is for me. This is the last thing I said. Everything I said about the show throughout the show's running. We've been going on to this for 45 minutes now. Plus, this is gonna be my last bit, but one of my least favorite things about the finale, the final arc, is how I genuinely feel it devalued Beth Elizabeth as a character and Elizabeth and Estella's death as a result. You guys can watch the other episodes if you want me to go into details about that, but ultimately, uh, Beth as a character really resonated with me, and I'm scrolling through our screenshot archive and realizing we don't have a picture of Beth screaming Estella. Like even right now, my eyes like tear up. Even thinking about it, the fucking animation of that scream, the sound design and vocal performance by the voice talent that voiced Beth Elizabeth, and just that metallic grinding distortion is just such an amazing dramatic expression of pain, trauma, and well, that's it. Just pain and trauma. Just the pain is so obvious in that character's voice that their metallic body is breaking from it. Fuck. And I think that is the highest emotional peak that this show hit with me. The show got a lot of emotional moments from me, but like nothing from that moment on surpassed that singular line. All I'm saying is Beth screaming Estella in a metallic distorted voice is the highlight of the show for me, and god damn it all, that will forever stay with me. So I thank you, Vivi, for giving me that, because that is the level of like distorted effect I wish I could accomplish with my voice when like voice acting or doing D&D or telling stories.
Well, I mean, they obviously use filter for that. There's,
Oh yeah.
I would hate to see what you did to your vocal cords doing that. For
Yeah.
voice directing, the show is really good, honestly. Like all
Yeah,
the different like mechanical things with the voices, the singing,
the sound design is
like they
fantastic.
even had that a little bit. Yeah, they even had that a little bit with Diva's last song, which, God, I still love Diva Diva talking with Vivi, and then Vivi coming out of the closet. Which, you know what, good for her. It was, I'm proud of her.
Yeah, I can imagine just the fucking voice acting booth. All right, Beth, we need some more distorted screaming. Oh fuck! Just pulls up the taser.
Oh no.
Lord, but yeah,
Also,
the
I just read chat and I need to give a shout out for I need to read a comment someone out like wait is Estella is the kind of NPC that dies and gives the party more drive. She's literally Phil Coulson but Vivi edition. And now I cannot fucking stop seeing Estella getting stabbed by Loki in the back through the chest or in the chest through the back. And just
it was Estella who was Marcus Sweet.
oh my god, Estella Coulson is not something I thought I needed in my life, but now that I have it, I realize I did.
Are we ready to move on to Super Cub?
I think we are.
Vivi, you were an interesting ride. You were an interesting time. I do not regret watching you. Uh, Unfortunately, we all seem to fall in different places on it. But here's to you. I'm glad it was made, and I'm looking forward to seeing possibly more stories off of it, or just the manga being published. But yes,
I
now
am.
it is time for the Super Cabo.
Yeah. Me and Vivi will go to some beach and retire on the sunset, and I will get to spend time with short-haired Vivi, which, god damn it, she rocks any outfit she wears. There's not a single outfit she wears
You
that I think is
fuck!
bad.
I already switched the fucking tile. Yeah, no. Vivi as a character design looks great. Her final form, the diva outfit, is so fucking good. And yes, long hair or short hair Vivi is very cute, and I approve. Waifu material for sure.
I mean, I've been indifferent on all of them except one.
I like the diva outfit, man. That little like frock twin tail cloak that she has. That shit's fucking fire.
I like the sweater, or not the sweater, the t-shirt and sweatpants that Diva wears. Just the casual look. Like, hey girl, you can dress yourself up, but a lazy day at the house, you can also rock that too. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, when she's walking around, I was just waiting for her to pull out a bottle of vodka and squat.
Uh,
There needs to
uh,
be sloth squatting Vivi fan art out there, because any show, like Rule 34, right? If it exists, there's porn of it. There needs to be another rule that if it's popular enough, there's a sloth squat version of it.
I'll break your heart real quick, Dal. All the Rule 34 art of Vivi has her and Yugo going at it.
The fuck is wrong with you people?
Well, it's like the only male character in the show.
Matsumoto.
Okay, he's like fucking
That,
60.
that that would also be weird, considering that that would be weird.
Yeah, because I imagine him like pathetically fucking Vivi while crying about cheating on his wife. Anyway, this conversation.
That's not what I meant. I meant the grooming aspect, you son of a bitch. Because he was like 10 when she gave him that sexual awakening.
But she did give him that sexual awakening. Also, I think it was like, oh yeah, I don't know his
God
age.
damn it. See, the one that I'm happy they weren't doing is, trust me, as much as I do like cute girls doing cute things together, it would be weird to see art of Vivi and the other sisters, considering she calls them sisters.
I agree. I don't know. There's a man AI. Fucking draw the usual faceless self-insert dude. The fuck, internet.
Oh yeah, it's just draw
No.
her bagging fucking other AIs. There's just the fucking crowd face AIs.
Well,
Oh,
Meep,
fuck.
for your next birthday, you need to get someone to commission you Itadori or Gojo fucking Vivi. There you go. Enjoy.
I've already considered getting Sylvina with Vivi, but at the same time, I'm like, no,
Okay.
no, that would be a bit weird.
Enjoy your degeneracy inspirations. Now, Reiko's kind of a degenerate, but on the opposite spectrum of the degeneracy we just indulged in, Super Cub.
And this is kind of where I sit and lay back because I don't have much to say about this one either.
I fucking love this show.
Character development.
Yeah, let's talk about character development. Reiko, not Reiko. Boy, not Reiko.
Reiko's kind of the same, but she also does open up and get less, shut off when it's not about her interests. She does get involved with her friends after a while and moves away from just only talking to people when it's about talking about the things she enjoys.
Yeah. I mean, she still only knows how to talk through things that she enjoys, but at the same time, she is becoming. I feel like it was a subtle level of character development that came through Kokuma kind of checking her a few times. But it's basically she's less imposing about it, right? Like she kind of gets it. I think she always gets that. I think that's why she just sits down and reads her book, right? Because she knows that not everyone wants to listen to what she wants to talk about, and she really strikes me as the person that, like, unless they're talking about something that she's personally interested in, she's not gonna want to be in the conversation. So she just chooses to hang out on her own until someone engages her in something that they need her to do, or something that she actually wants to talk about or engage about. But yeah, Koguma.
Koguma indeed.
There's a fan
The
going off in someone's background.
That's me. Um, Koguma started off as, from what I could tell, if not depressed, with the starting developments of someone who starts becoming depressed. Um, not doing anything for fun in her life, simply going through the motions of day to day, scraping by with what little money she is given,
Yeah, girl is
and with
poor.
no one waiting for her at home, no friends, no nothing. Which, when we started the show, we said it could be a bit hyperbolic, but sad truth is there's quite a lot of people like that,
Yeah,
and following the life of a girl who has nothing, who at the end of the story doesn't have much, but what little she has means so much to her and has changed her so much for the better. It's it's heartwarming to it's heartwarming and encouraging to see someone who has had so much trouble with their life start to move forward and actually succeed with what they want to do and become who they want to be. Super Cup is not only a story about the joys of friendship and a motorcycle, enjoying your motorcycle, and how that expands your way of living. It's also a show about finding yourself and self improvement, and there's something very beautiful in that. And self improvement is hard, and encouragement to do it is always good to have.
yeah. We Koguma was literally living an empty life. She was basically just going through the motions of day to day and making sure that even if barely, she's keeping herself alive and doing what is expected of her, and that's it. And if that's not depression, I don't know what I don't know what is it. I don't know what it is. Um, the character had some lows, right? We all had those two-ish episodes where like Koguma, what the fuck? We're not liking your
I'll,
vibe. We're not liking what you're doing.
I'll be honest. As a character, I don't like Koguma. Don't get me wrong. At times there's things I like that she does, but it's nothing to do with the character herself. It's more just the things she's doing or the other characters she's bouncing off of. I honestly, the only character that I actually enjoyed was Reiko because I wasn't a big fan of she. I didn't like Koguma, but I liked the stuff they did, and there were other things I found to enjoy in the show. And honestly, Reiko's just she's a fun character. She brings the fun to the show.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to get right back to Reiko, but just to finish up with um, not she, sorry, with Koguma. As far as the main character goes, I think what the show did with its coloration, with how her life is bleak and bland, literally bleak and bland. Like the colors are washed out, like they're all pale and gray and muted and dull. And if you have depression and something good happens to you, it's gonna feel nice. You're gonna enjoy it, but it's not gonna cure your depression. And well, personally, I kind of wish we saw the volume or the periods of illumination of where all the colors fill in, the brightness of saturation kind of increase, like um quantifiably increase throughout the series, not just in the finale episode. every moment where the colors filled in, if not creating a sense of glee and joy in me, got me to smile at least a little bit and be like, "Ah, oh, there it is. She's feeling better." I remember the very first episode when the colors filled in when when she sat down and turned on the Super Cup for the first time, and just the fucking ooh that came from me. It just like I in that very moment I came up with the show. The show succeeded in exactly what it wanted to do, and it felt so great.
So I'll come out here with my hot take. Whenever the colors came in, I just went, "Oh, good. I like to look at the show now." I I'm happy you had that reaction. It's definitely not the one I got because honestly, the visuals were just whenever
You're a
I
robot.
understand
You're
it's ancient,
cutting in and out
but whenever the colors,
really bad. You're getting
how
like
about now?
choppy. Like yeah. Say a few things.
Hello, how am I now?
Nah, you're still bad. Hop out and hop back in. Already? Let's hear you now. Think Meep is dead.
How about now?
Okay, yeah, you're good.
Okay. What I was saying is, it's because like I'm happy you had that reaction, and I understand it's the show's intention for when the colors aren't there. I understand it's supposed to be like colorless and bland, but to me, all that did was be like, whenever the colors came, I'm like, okay, good. It doesn't not hurt, but I like to look at the show now because whenever the colors weren't there, it didn't. It just felt bland. And I understand that's the intention, but it also hurt the show for me.
Mm, I have to
I
disagree.
couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't disagree more. The show is still drop dead gorgeous, even in its more muted state.
Yeah,
Just because it doesn't have, just because it doesn't isn't brimming with color, doesn't mean the color isn't there. It's still beautiful, if a bit more somber in its feel of beauty.
yeah. The I feel like the show did a
It's
very good
bland to
job.
look at.
No, I disagree. I think the show did a very good job at conveying tone and feeling, but also with both of its quote unquote, well, it's not a palette, so what would we call this? Basically two forms of color. Uh, yes, it's desaturated. Yes, it's blander. But that's like by comparison. It's like when you're editing a photo or like you're gonna post something on Instagram and you want to touch it up and you click on contrast or saturation and you tweak it up a little bit, your first instinct is almost always going to be like, unless you're like a professional photographer, it's going to be like, oh, this looks better. And then you turn up the color and you turn up the saturation, you turn up the contrast, you turn up the highlights, and then you look back up to the original photo and you realize this doesn't look fucking real. This is like gross. This is overdone, over edited, over filtered. um the show, to be clear, I'm not saying that's how the show feels when the color comes in. What I'm saying is I think the show knew what it was doing, and even in the moments where it's dull and kind of desaturated, uh they did this, all the colors have this nice cool, yes, somber also, but this like cool, quiet, uh yeah, somber is a good term for it, honestly. This cool, quiet, somber vibe. And I think they hit the aesthetic that they needed to. The details in the sceneries and the backdrops and the objects that they're interacting with, the characters themselves. Oh, sorry for hitting my mic, those at home. Um, but like with the hair, facial expressions, all that is still there even without the color. But when the color does come in, and the music, the piano, the gentle piano, strums a few keys higher note and a little bit faster with a little bit more energy, and you're just like, oh, all right. And it only gets better. Not that the show gets worse when it's duller colored. And like they specifically did like the snowball scene with all color, because if they kept it cool and desaturated, that would have actually looked like bland, like they were bleeding into it. But Koguma's house is intentionally cold and hollow. Reiko's house is made of wood, so it's already a warm wood color that allows the blandness not to just become just, well, mush. And you know, if you look at all the things, you still see enough coloration and detail put in to make sure that everything stands out, despite not getting the usual saturation we're used to.
Yeah. For me, the visuals of the show in all is fantastic, and the addition of the color just brings from a 10 out of 10 to an 11 out of 10.
Eh, Going on, this shows a great story of just you kind of get a lot of things done really well here. Kids being kids, uh character development, genuine friendships being formed, uh pers-
Self improvement,
oh yeah,
growth of person as you mature.
like we see someone actively making choices uh to expand their life experiences, and by doing so expand themselves, like allow themselves to grow. Like we see often people being like characters being influenced by other characters. This show actually has Koguma actively making decisions to grow herself, and I think that's really great to see. Yes, the show gets a little weird with the commercials for the Super Cub, and like anything is possible on a Honda Super Cub. But also, the show just feels nerdy from the way Reiko talks about her motorcycle and like war historia, to the way that like she's obsessed with like Italy and coffee and cultures and their families with bread, to the whole fucking wool episode, which I forgot what the wool was called, but the specific type of wool that like everyone's just like, oh my god, this is wool, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Abrasive wool.
Abrasive wool, abrasive wool. Yeah, no, it's
The
it's
stand name.
yeah, Koguma stand abrasive wool.
Now her stand name would be Super Cover.
No, that's right. Oh yeah, it's Hunter Cover and Super Cover. Does that mean she is abrasive wool?
I mean, now with her cover is Baby Cover.
Mini Cover. Uh, but yeah, uh, going through the show did technically give us all 4 seasons, which is always delightful to see in a high school setting, but also from an animation perspective. I kind of wish the backdrops stayed more. Excuse me. Stayed more detailed. Like I kind of wish we got a little bit more hyper realism, kind of like how we saw in like shows like Jujutsu Kaisen and even Vivi. But the show just, certain parts give me like Harvest Moon vibes. Other parts just give me down like just cozy slice of life, and the other parts just down to earth. I've talked about it before, but this show's emphasis on mundane detail, I personally find to be one of its greatest strengths. Uh, just animating the little motions that many other shows would not, whether it be, like filling a thermos with hot tea and showing it kind of fill up and steam, like packing rice into a lunchbox and choosing a little curry packet, taking the time to show that Koguma isn't exactly happy with her lifestyle. The old mechanic man, which I kind of wish we saw one more time before the show ended, now that I'm thinking about it. But like having him, wind the bolt on through the hubcap, and then, well, I guess it wasn't a hubcap, but like, tighten the bolt on the engine cap, drain the oil. It's just these little motions that just make this feel so much more alive and relatable for me.
Yeah. During my entire time watching the show, I have had the opposite experience of me. I have a hard time finding a character I don't like in the show.
Yeah.
I find Koguma relatable. Reiko is all around likable in her gremlinness. She is adorable. She's parents are so supportive and just generally nice people that are you just that's the kind of shop you want to go to and just spend some more time in just because it's such a pleasant atmosphere.
The place I want to
Um
spend both time and money.
yeah. The fucking homeroom teacher who gave Koguma her first job wasn't there a lot, but just his general acceptance of her not having any experience with it and being kind and understanding with it. The fucking teacher who received the packages at the other school were also just nice as well. The shopkeeper as well, just how he felt like he could notice she was struggling in life with something and wanted to do something nice for her. Even though, like, yeah, I still don't buy that the story about the cub was just made up and Reiko knew it. I just think she was bullshitting to make Koguma feel better. But if that was the case, then he made up shit to make this to have a reason to sell this shit cheaper to her. It's just all the characters blend into just they so fucking nice, and there's nothing I don't enjoy about this show. There's I'd be hard pressed to say something I don't like about the show in general. The advertisements sure can be a bit intrusive, but like I said last time, I can think about it for a minute and come up with why it makes sense for the characters. So even if it is an advertisement, it's totally in line for Koguma to be fucking obsessed with her cub that changed her life, literally. Reiko nerding out about everything is constantly happening, and she's also obsessed with her cub as it's part of her interest she nerds out about constantly. The amount I can see myself in both
It
Koguma and
just
Reiko is so hits so close to my heart, and whenever I see them succeed, I get happy. Whenever I see them struggle, I hope they hang in there to succeed, and I don't think there's any more need to push this away from me. Will you marry me, Super Cub?
Ah.
bum 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 bum.
The bells are ringing.
Dell,
And
do you too wish to
Makan,
join?
do you have anything else you want to say on the show? Makan?
No, I think I've said everything. The art style is amazing. The characters do so much for me, and the stories and what it explores hits close to home to me and leaves me enough time to think about it and not really doing anything else to get in the way of my interpretations of what happens. So that's all I have to say about it.
Fair enough. Well, Makan, as you step onto the aisle, dressed in fine clothes, with Super Cub standing there, you grab one of their hands as I walk up, smiling at both of you, and grab the other. For I too wish to be wed to Super Cub this spring 2021 anime season. This show
Here, I thought you'd be.
this show has it's a tough season because there's another show on our roster that has blown my expectations time and time again. And even though Super Cub has had two-ish episodes that honestly I was not a fan of. I thought were underdeveloped and did a disservice to its main character. In terms of the expression of character. Ultimately, one of those gripes came at the end with Koguma's just relationship with Shi and revelation that Koguma looked up to Eniwashi, and even all of that, I cannot forget the effect the first episode had on me. Even the trailer in itself, but the first episode and just that sea of calm, just genuine tranquility. It didn't excite me. It didn't like make me joyous. It brought me to a place where I felt at peace and just calm and okay. I didn't need to be entertained. I didn't need to be I didn't need to feel excited. I just felt calm and good. And honestly, I think the show won me over from there on, from that point on. Regardless, there's been plenty of moments where the show has shown its final episode is a delightful culmination of everything that everyone has done, where Koguma actually goes out of her way not just to do something, because before she did things that she wanted to do with Reiko, but this time she went out of her way to do something for someone else, for Eniwashi, and while also experiencing things together. Watch last week's episode when we go over Super Cup's finale. I'm sure I go into it there, but just like the thoughtfulness and consideration of Koguma, Reiko just being happy that she has more people that are into things that she is into, and just being her energetic, happy-go-lucky, just silly self, and Eniwashi, just this driven, passionate, well-meaning girl. Its characters, ultimately its art and just aesthetic, but mostly its vibe and tune and just overall atmosphere brings this show just ever slightly above the other contender. Makan, I will be glad to enjoy this triad relationship with you.
You do realize this means we're also married, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You think this wasn't part of my intention? It was going to be one of two things, Makan. Either the two of us are going to be married together with a single show, or we would bridge our houses if you were going to if one of us was going to marry the other. Our kids would marry, if not us.
I watched this anime last night.
And
except in that one, it was two girls. And...
oh, you're chopping in and out, Meep. At the very end of the wedding ceremony, Meep is...
He's glitching back and forth. The excitement's getting to him.
How am I now?
You are better now.
Is it better?
No.
Okay. I made the joke, wait a second, I watched this anime last night, except it was two girls.
And with that, does anyone else have anything to say about Super Cup?
Not really.
All right. Thank you, Super Cub. Thank you, Makan. I'm happy to be on this ride with you. Actually, really quick, before we move on to the next thing. So, we talked about this at least once, if not twice, on the show. When we were picking out our locks for the season, Makan, you didn't really know what you were going to have, right? And I was like, oh, do you want to, lock Super Cub so that I can lock Princess of Blood and Snow, Jiren? And you're like, no, I'm gonna lock Tokyo Revengers, right? And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll lock Super Cub and hope that the princess makes the list. It did not. But boy, oh boy.
Boy, oh boy.
Me and Makan watched the trailer together, and both of us we watched it separately, but at the same time, and both of us came back like, I don't know what it is about this thing, but it made me feel good.
It was a wild ride because I only watched the trailer after you locked it because I only read the synopsis and looked at the image and I was like, all right, I guess I'll check out the trailers for everything we locked. And I was just like, my fucking heart?
Yeah. Already. And now, we're gonna go from a wedding to a funeral and talk about Tokyo Revengers, episode 13.
Tokyo
Read us in, Meep.
Takemichi attends Hina's funeral. Tokyo Revengers, episode 13. Takemichi attends Hina's funeral and tells Naoto that he will become the 3rd Division captain. He learns Draken is on death row for murder, and Draken tells him that Kiseki is a very, very bad man who deserves death. In the past, Takemichi is already being welcomed as a captain. You were talking about subverting expectations earlier. I was not expecting for him to already be a captain when he goes back.
He is not a captain. This is going to be Kiseki.
Is it? I thought because I thought when they were
Sense.
It's Kiseki. I thought that's the big heel turn, right? Yeah, I take it Kiseki's about to become the new 3rd Division captain.
It's a part of
I
Toman.
thought that they were crowning.
No, because I mean, like, Takemichi hasn't made any progress to it yet. I'm like, oh, I guess fucking autopilot Takemichi did some work, but it would make so much more sense for it to be Kiseki, because he wears a Toman jacket in the new ending. Very nice, by
Yo, the new ending is fire.
Fucking slaps. And he is part of Toman in the future, so at some point he joins Toman. That's a very good subversion of expectations and what's happening on the screen there.
I still think it's Takemichi who's being welcomed because the way that scene is framed, like all the captains are waiting for him. They're like, "All right, we're gonna crown the new." I was like, "Oh, okay, Takemichi's already crowned as the new captain."
I mean, I think that's the point, that it's supposed to feel like that, because sure, it might be seen as them waiting on it, but it's also just, he was in a bathhouse with Mikey and Draken, and Mikey and Draken liked this guy and like taking him along with them, even though he's not part of Toman. They've done it before.
No, he is
Very
part of Toman.
important things.
He is part of Toman.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember him officially being like joining it.
I thought it was just he joined it because he was forced into it by the fucking Fight Club assholes.
No, the Fight Club was a thing that the Fight Club people just did to other students, just forced them to do shit.
Yeah, but they operated out of Toman and under Toman's name.
Yeah, but that's a different thing. Either way.
Yes, me?
I guess we'll get an official answer next week as to who's being crowned as the 3rd Division captain. But I thought they were crowning Mikey as cap, or not Mikey. Taki captain.
By the way, to be clear for everyone at home, this will be the last episode of Tokyo Revengers that we cover, unless we all decide to cover the next episode if we end up doing awards next week instead of this week. But that's a conversation that we'll find out later. But all in all, this felt like a good finale. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it sets up the next arc.
We finally got more.
Maybe it sounds to me like your Discord connection is lagging behind. Like, you're at like half a second, if not a whole second behind us. Because I've noticed you talk like as I'm talking, or respond to things like a good solid second after they're addressed to you. Is there anything you can do about that? Silent.
Other than swapping to mobile, let me see if changing the server region fixes anything.
In the meantime, Makan, what did you think of this episode? Mackin! I'm all alone. Left in the void.
Sorry, I need to stand up for a bit so I can push talk. I think this episode was great. We haven't had what we had in the show previously, that Takemichi makes a promise and then completely flounders by going back on it. No, he's keeping to his conviction and he's holding his head high and strong about what he's about to do. I like it.
Yeah.
And the quote made about how I don't care if it's impossible. I guess I'll just have to do the impossible if that's what it takes.
To save Hina. Yeah, 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 yeah. Also, we got to meet Hina's family.
Uh, seeing the pendant just shard up was pretty hard.
Seeing Naoto break down was hard. Seeing him seeing Takamichi be given the pendant shard up, and then him tearing up, and Hina's mom tearing up. Uh, man, I'm crying, and the opening has just started playing. Like, as the opening was like, I was like, shut up, opening, I'm sad, and I have tears in my eyes. So congrats.
I'm crying.
Yeah. Congrats, Tokyo Revengers. I have done the cries because of you. It was a lot of emotions. And like the thing is though, it, like I know it doesn't really make sense because like we don't really have a lot of their relationship, but the show has succeeded in me not only caring but actually like liking Hina. So like seeing all these people upset, like just devastated by her death. That dude walking up to Takamichi was kind of jank when he's like, "Excuse me, sir, I know you're upset, but there are other people who need to step up to the funeral shrine." Well, that guy was jank. But like seeing Takamichi just stand there, silent, and then the tears well up while his eyes are closed and he's praying for Hina's soul, and we already know. Like that's the best thing. Like we know what he's saying. We know what his thoughts are. The show didn't need to. The show needed to fucking recap everything as it always does. Why? But the show knew that it didn't need to actually uh give us an inner monologue because we know exactly what Takamichi's thinking and saying to Hina's spirit. And Naoto then noticing the tears in the corner of Takamichi's eyes as he's praying, and that just everything finally like hitting Naoto and him just like falling on his knees and breaking down crying. That was really fucking powerful too.
Oh yeah. For all the time we've known Naruto when he's been an adult, he has been keeping all of his shit together, and seeing that dam break as seemingly all hope was lost for him. Yeah, no, that is. Whew.
To just say my thoughts, I did really like this episode too. There are only one or two things that bothered me, but I am happy to see that Mikey's character development is staying. It was nice to see Naoto breaking down. I'm happy we finally got something about Kiseki other than he's a very bad man. Yes, he's a bad man. We actually got to see like how he's capable of manipulating, like, or actually see like he's able to make Draken fear, like able to control Draken, which was just finally we get to see him do something instead of just hearing, "Oh, he's scary."
Oh, actually, on that point, we actually finally get a reason why Akun did what he did in this timeline. Because the fucker took his family hostage.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like I really like I don't get it. If they were able to get like I know we're gonna get more. Like this show, I'm now understanding that to get the answers we want, we need to wait long term for this show to reveal the things that occur. But I really don't understand why Draken's on death row and Mr. fucking killing someone like he would a bug is untouchable for some fucking reason. But the thing is though, because of this episode, I actually trust the show to explain why.
Yeah. We also got an explanation kind of retrospectively, but it doesn't make sense because he didn't know Toman at that point. He didn't know Mikey at that point, but the explanation why Takemichi was, targeted to die multiple times, I suppose now, um, was because Kiseki simply wants to destroy everything Mikey held dear.
And Takamichi is someone he holds dear. And he probably wants to
Mhm.
kill Hina too, because because Mikey actually
Um,
likes Hina.
Yeah, I mean, Emma's probably also dead if we're perfectly honest, or is going to
Oh
die.
no, that's right. Oh,
See, what you don't understand, the real reason why he killed Hina is because after Takemichi broke up with Hina, Hina rebounded to Mikey. You wouldn't believe it, but it happened.
Blink, blink.
Ah!
The thing is, though,
Don't worry, good care of your girl.
also, it's funny you mention Emma because when the female voice at the funeral, all sad and weak, like Takemichi-kun, or like I forgot his first name, or Mikahino Takemichi. I'm like, oh shit, is this like a sad Emma? And then no, even better, it was a sad Hina's mom, and uh
It's fucking heavy. Though,
Sad.
though I do have to say that sorry about that. I do have to say I was filled with a bit of dread when when Takamichi was praying and the music cut out. I'm like, no, don't make a comedy thing out of this.
yeah.
But then they didn't. They simply was people walked up like, are you okay? Like, do you need help? Are you like asking respectfully? Like, I know you're grieving, but we need to move on.
I did laugh. I
And
did chuckle at that scene because the animation was so jank, but otherwise, yeah.
yeah, well, like, oh, okay, thank God. But when he goes back in the past and he's just hanging out in a fucking bathhouse with Mikey and Draken, being fucking idiots and having fun, it's great.
Yeah. We'll get. I think we'll touch upon the dragon conversation in the future, or I guess in the pseudo present, in a moment. But man, fucking Mikey and Draken are just going full cock out for Takemichi, huh?
Very,
Yep.
very rarely as Draken stood up and went, "Behold!"
And then
Yeah,
Mike, and then
I was
fucking
half expecting the same.
yeah, and then fucking Takamichi's response like, "Wow, Draken, you sure are big for a middle schooler." And I'm like, "What the fuck?"
I'm like, and there's no way they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Behold, Takamichi, look at my scar and behold my abs, and look how my scar healed. Wow, you sure are larger than a middle schooler. I would have never guessed.
And just when he stands up and screams,
Now we know
"Behold!"
the
just
real
that
reason why
face,
Emma stays with Draken.
just when Takamichi's face when Draken just stands up and goes, "Behold!" Just like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, no, Emma is certainly a size queen.
Oof.
That's I know it was a second of lag, but that was surprisingly a perfect amount of dead air before that. Oof.
Yeah, I have no clue what this will come from. I might just have to restart my laptop in general.
Why don't you go ahead and do that? We'll vamp for a little bit. It won't take you long, right?
I'd rather say we
Well,
don't do that.
we only have 10 minutes left.
Ah, shit. Okay. Damn. That means boys want to hold up cards.
Um,
Sure.
yeah, I think we're talking about the majority of it.
Yeah. I'll go first. I'm fucking this episode. Uh, Tokyo Revengers, you're interesting because you've definitely had some really low lows, but you rebound really nicely. You come back with this great fucking wave of like productivity. I love this episode. It was a really good finale because it reestablishes Takamichi's drive and goals. And then we get enough of like we get this like really sad moment with we treat Hina's death with the fucking respect it deserves. There was a lot of people there. And we got to meet her parents, or at least her mom. We saw the dad, but like we got to meet her mom, and like her and Takamichi had a conversation. Naoto Takamichi was proactive. Then the plot re-thickened with Draken's prison sentence. And then we get some of the boys being boys, which is always good. And then we get the Tolman stuff. And I kind of find it funny because it's like Takamichi has this goal, and if I'm right that Kisaki is the next third captain, which would make sense because we're getting two new characters introduced. One is one is Kisaki, and the other one is some other boy that we haven't seen. Um, the episode just ends on Takamichi going, "Eh?" Because he finally comes in here cocksure, running around with his head full of eyeballs, only to just be like, "Oh yeah, we picked a third division captain already, and if it's not him, then all of his plans and motivations just go out the door." So I'm curious to see what the show's gonna do with that. I'm fucking this episode. It's a great setup for season 2. We have a new ending, which is really cool. Personally, I think this would have been this because of the new ending. It feels like this is the first episode of the second half of the season. But honestly, this would have been the best episode to end the season on. For like even like a week, a month, a season, a year. Well, maybe not a year. But like, we have everything set up. We have Takamichi's new goals. I'm just gonna wrap it up. Takamichi's new goals. We have a foil, the plot thickening, and we have like new information to chew on until the next episode or series comes out. So yeah, this is really fucking good.
Yeah, I'm gonna fuck the show too. I was expecting at least 3 Naoto during the funeral, but I'm happy we didn't get any.
Yeah, it's true. The
Yeah,
show,
this
yeah, you're right. The show did not invalidate its emotional gravity, but with unnecessary humor. It saved all of that for the bath scene.
yeah, and I it I really enjoyed this episode. The one thing that I have been kind of realizing, and this might be in part after I watched one of the dub episodes, I'm not a big fan of Takamichi's voice actor. Actually, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of his voice.
Okay, fair enough.
It it it, it it's not like it's not Asta bad or anything. It's just like I don't know. Trust me, nothing can get close to Asta bad.
Yeah,
True.
nothing
Yeah,
is quite us bad. I'm
Ah!
also fuck. I'm also fucking this show as yeah, no, it seems to be really ramping up, and it seems to have actually taken off of its several face planting start and has finally gotten into the air. Let's just hope it doesn't get struck by a lightning bolt.
I don't think it'll be a lightning bolt. I think it'll get hit by another truck or two.
Yeah.
I honestly foresee this show repeating the mistakes it did earlier just to pad out the fucking series runtime. But at the same time, I also, for some reason, kind of feel like it will do so less.
yeah,
I hope it does so
I
less because
definitely
it'd be fucking great if it didn't.
yeah, I definitely see it like Makan said, getting struck by lightning, then hit by a car. But at the same time, it hooked me again. I hope it can keep me on. I just please let's not start with another. Oh, Takamichi goes back in time. Oh, Emma is all over him, and Hina is jealous again.
When
I don't want.
when I saw that he was shirtless and like had a face of shock, I'm like, please don't tell me he's like hooking up with another girl. And it wasn't. It was actually a scene that I completely did not see coming. The three of them hanging out in the baths. But yeah, it turned out
Yeah.
to be pretty cool.
Ironically, he was more shocked about being in the baths than he was being naked with Emma.
Well, to be fair, if I woke up and I'm straight, if I woke up with a half naked girl and fully naked dude, I will probably even be more shocked by the half naked dude, by the full naked dude.
Damn, I can't believe I'm gonna shock you at some point.
God damn it, Makan.
uh, and with that, sorry we couldn't cover more shows, everyone, but time constraints being as they are, and these 3 shows being the ones that we usually have the most to talk about, aside from Shadow's House, the we have our 3 marriages, which I made the joke earlier, but I actually kind of expected it.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. And yeah, huh. I know this is only like the first half, hopefully half and not third of our retrospective. Due to time constraints, we're gonna have to cut it short this week or today. Excuse me. But we will be back tomorrow at around, what do we agree on, boys? 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, I think that was what it.
Cool. We should be around.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should be around that time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys are welcome to come by, come back, and hang out with us as we continue going down the spring roster. We might talk a little bit more about Tokyo Revengers just to kind of give it the, you know, hindsight retrospective. But yeah, this is a good episode, as you can tell, because this is a trifecta for Tokyo Revengers episode 13.
Because I have to leave a little bit earlier than Macon does tomorrow. I have to leave at about 3 EST, but yeah.
Okay, so
Should be
we're
good.
shooting for 11 to 3 EST, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. EST. I need a nap.
Yes.
Also, before we go, really quick, regarding this episode, two questions. One, did they cremate Hina? Is that what the smokestack chimney meant to signify at the end of the funeral scene?
I think they do. I think they do more cremations in Japan than they do actual burials. Because
That they
so I
do.
think it was.
That they do. I am unfamiliar with those kinds of things though.
Hmm. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let us know in the comments if that's a more common thing in Japan, because that's kind of what I felt it was when, kind of like, all right, well, we'll do it for Hina, and then they show us a smokestack, and I'm like, oh, oh. Also, that is the fanciest fucking prison I've seen in Tokyo. Oh, not in Tokyo, but Tokyo has that fanciest fucking prison. And why was that visit so short, right? Like, it was very short. I wasn't the only one who felt that way.
Yeah.
Like, he sat down,
Also,
we talked, they said 5 things each. All right, your time's up. What?
I mean, to be fair, Draken is on death row, so
Yeah, he's not gonna do anything. He's on death row. I don't
fair
know why
enough.
he didn't stab.
Also,
I didn't know why he didn't stab Kisaki right there and then. But I guess the story will in the flashback. I guess the story will tell us later on.
Should just kill him
also,
right there and then. Done. Show over.
Show over. They would exactly. This is the finale, right?
yeah.
This is the last episode.
Yeah. Also, I looked up. Cremation is now mandatory in most parts of Japan. After death, 24 hours must pass before cremation takes place, unless the cause of death is communicable infection. Cremation became more common than full body burial in the 1930s, and more common in all areas of Japan in the 1970s. This is coming off of Wikipedia, by the way, so take it with a grain of salt.
No, Wikipedia is really good. Fascinating. Oh, well, there we go. Now we know. And if you know, now you know, playa.
A.
And with that,
I also.
oh yeah, what's up?
I was gonna say I also get to do the wedding bells things. Which super cub do you want to marry?
I want that. I want that mini cub I posted last week that I may or may not actually
I
end up buying.
Of the super cubs that the girls own, which one do you want to marry? Because I'm putting the rings on the actual cubs.
Actually, I can't. The thing is, though, I want Eniwa's cub because, like, it's nice and sleek. But I don't think I'll fit on it. I am
Almost
probably
100%.
twice as big as Eniwa, and I don't just mean height wise. I feel like she would take up 2/3 of my torso.
When you said you don't just mean height wise, I was about to say, well, yeah, you're a guy, so of course.
And disconnecting me. Oh. Yeah, no. Eniwa's a small bean. I respect Reiko, but her cub is busted.
Damn, I guess you're just gonna have to put a ring on both sides of fucking Koguma's handlebars.
I can ride my bike with Koguma's handlebars.
And with that, I need to get running or I'm gonna be late.
Wait, which cub are you putting a ring on? Oh, wait, because you're also
Koguma's.
doing Koguma's. Right, duh,
Yeah.
that's what you meant.
Yep.
Where can they
It's
find
been
you?
fun, but I need to go get that bread. You can catch me at that_Viking on Twitter. Not getting that bread, but maybe some possums in the future at some point when I open Twitter and go, yes, filth rat, and scream trash baby. But apart from that, yeah, we won't find me at all. Bye bye.
Right, Mackin. Say bye, chat.
Boy.
Meep, where can they find you?
find me at soul_king777. But if you are a minor, don't follow me. There are many boobs and butts. In fact, I am getting a Canada Day slash America 4th of July Day crossover piece from a friend of mine. That one will be very nice. But if you're a minor, don't look at it. I will throw you at the Statue of Liberty.
On top of it, the torch, evisceration. And you can find me watching the weekly eviscerations on top of the Lady Liberties, on top of the Statue of Liberty's torch. Well, you can't find me doing that because that's my personal life, but you can catch me everywhere. That means Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. I keep saying Facebook today. It's because I did all these Facebook and Instagram stories yesterday with all the fireworks off of my roof. But you can catch me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at Dalaron Quest. That's DALARON Quest, where you guys are welcome to follow along, subscribe, and just hang out, interact, send me stuff. I'll send you stuff. It'll be a cool time. But we will see everyone. Meep, is there anything else you'd like to say before we bid everyone adieu until tomorrow?
Only other thing I'll say is when we do the awards, stick to the end because that's where we'll be revealing our the shows for our list. And other than that, we mentioned a little bit during the stream. Do we want to make an official announcement of what's happening with Summer now?
Yeah, you might as well since you brought it up. Summer, for those of you who follow along with the FMK, I've been able to find not just one but two jobs in the last week. And unfortunately, they're going to be taking up a lot of my time, and I just will not have the time or even mental energy to invest into, dedicate myself for 10 episodes a week of anime. That's a lot, especially because I need to watch the anime, take notes, take screen caps, and then edit the videos and post afterwards. So that is a lot to deal with, and it's honestly been running me a little ragged. Y'all might have noticed that our YouTube uploads have been a little bit more irregular, and that's because I just don't have the attention space to stay on top of that as much as I should. So I will be stepping away, at least for the time being, and Summer will be taken care of by good old Limus646. I see you in the chat. And over on their channel. And Meep and Limus will be talking about all the summer anime, which seem to be actually really good, according to Meep. I mean, whatever that means, however much you can trust that opinion.
There's 3 shows I like and 3 I'm iffy on.
There's a lot of noise coming up from the back, from behind you.
Sorry about that. I meant to say there's 3 shows I like and then 3 that I was iffy on.
And does that leave 4 bad ones?
4 haven't aired yet.
And then we still have a 4 mystery match. Actually, I'm really glad I'm stepping away from Summer because I don't understand anime schedules anymore. Why is Summer coming out while spring is still going? What the fuck?
I think it was spring. Spring stayed too long into the summer season. Also, Shadow's House being an episode longer than all of our other shows didn't help.
Oh well.
Yeah, they're my lock, Macon's lock, some another anime, and then another anime after that. They haven't aired yet, so we will be watching the. Although we will be talking about all of them except Macon's lock and one of them. The next week we should be.
Well, you guys can find more of that over on the FMK Twitter and the FMK Discord, as well as just stay tuned and find out what's coming up. Otherwise, we'll catch everyone not next week, but tomorrow, once again at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time till about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the rest of our season finale retrospective. Catch you then.
Yeah, and we not entirely sure when the awards will be. I'm thinking of pitching to everyone else possibly Saturday because I will have all of Saturday free.
Yeah, it might work for me as well, but we'll figure it out. Stay tuned, y'all. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye bye.